Most men think silence is weakness. They think going quiet means giving up, means you lost, means she wins. But here's what they don't understand. Silence isn't surrender. Silence is the most powerful statement a man can make without saying a single word. And the longer you hold it, the deeper she feels it. Not because you're playing games, not because you're punishing her, but because silence forces a person to sit with what they actually feel when your energy is no longer free, when your attention is no longer guaranteed, when you're no longer performing for approval. Stay with me through this entire video, because what I'm about to break down is going to change the way you think, the way you move, and the way you carry yourself in every relationship from this point forward. Before we talk about what silence does to her, let's talk about what it does to you, because most men can't stay silent for 24 hours without breaking, and the reason why reveals everything. You were taught, maybe by your environment, maybe by your upbringing, maybe just by watching how relationships around you worked, that your value comes from what you do, from how available you are, from how much effort you put in, from how quickly you respond, from how well you can explain yourself, from how consistent you are at making her feel good. And so when things get shaky, when she pulls back, when the energy shifts, when the replies get shorter, your instinct is to do more, talk more, explain more, show up more, because in your mind, effort equals value. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes effort doesn't communicate value. Sometimes it communicates fear, fear of losing her, fear of not being chosen, fear of sitting in uncertainty without doing something about it. And when a woman senses that fear underneath all your effort, she doesn't feel more attracted. She feels less. Not because she's heartless, because anxiety isn't attractive, neediness isn't attractive. And performing for attention, no matter how well intentioned, is still performing. That's the real reason silence is so powerful. Not because it's a tactic, but because choosing silence means choosing yourself over the approval of someone else. And that is what confident men do. Let's break this down properly, because silence isn't just not texting. Silence is a full shift in energy, and it creates three things that words never can. The first thing, space. When you are always present, always texting, always calling, always checking in, you remove something very important from the dynamic. Mystery, tension, curiosity. You make yourself so available that your presence stops feeling special and starts feeling expected. And expected things don't get appreciated, they get taken for granted. But when you go quiet, real quiet, not passive aggressive quiet, but grounded, calm, intentional quiet, you create space. And space is where emotions live. In that space, she's no longer distracted by your constant presence. She's no longer just reacting to your messages. She's sitting with her own feelings, and she starts asking herself questions she wasn't asking before. What is he doing right now? Why hasn't he reached out? Do I actually miss him, or do I just miss the attention? Where do I stand with him? Did I push him too far? And those questions pull her into her own mind. That's the power of space. You didn't say anything, but by saying nothing, you said everything. The second thing, contrast. Human beings adapt. That's just biology. When something is always present, the brain stops registering it as significant. The same way you stop noticing the sound of traffic after living next to a highway for 6 months. The same way you stop tasting food when you eat the same meal every single day. When you've been consistently available, texting her good morning, checking in at night, being the one who always keeps the conversation alive, she gets used to that energy. Not because she's using you, because that's just how the human brain works. Your presence becomes normal, and normal doesn't create longing. But silence creates contrast. It breaks the pattern, and the moment a familiar pattern breaks, the brain pays attention. It starts replaying the last interaction. It starts remembering how things felt when you were fully present. It notices the absence of your energy. And that noticing, that's where the feeling comes from. That's the moment she actually feels your weight in her life. Not when you're always there, but when you're suddenly not. The third thing, truth. This is the one most men are terrified of, because silence exposes reality. It removes the noise. It strips away all the effort and the words and the explaining, and it leaves just one question sitting in the middle of the room. Does she actually value him? When you stop chasing, you stop filling the gap. And whatever she does in that gap, that's the truth. If she reaches out with genuine effort, with curiosity, with care, that's real. If she enjoys the quiet because your absence costs her nothing, that's also real. And that information is more valuable than 6 months of confusion. Real quick, I want to stop here for a second. If this content is landing for you, if you're watching this and something is clicking that never clicked before, hit that subscribe button right now. I'm serious. I post content every single week specifically for men who are done being confused, done being taken for granted, done playing small in their relationships. Tap the bell so you don't miss a single upload. Now let's keep going because we're just getting to the good part. I want to introduce you to a concept that's going to make a lot of men uncomfortable. And good, because discomfort is where growth lives. Every single time you keep showing up with full energy when she's giving you half, you are offering an emotional discount. You are essentially saying, my attention, my time, my effort, you can have all of it, even when you're not meeting me halfway. And here's the thing about discounted things. People don't treasure them. They consume them. You don't frame a clearance item. You don't protect something you got for free. And when you make your emotional presence available without standards, that's exactly what happens to it. It gets consumed, not cherished. Think about the dynamic honestly. You're the one who responds fast. You're the one who initiates most conversations. You're the one who keeps the energy alive when she goes cold. You're the one who checks in after she cancels plans. You're the one who tries to fix the vibe when something feels off. And she receives it. And she stays comfortable. Because why would she change anything? You've made it clear, through your actions, not your words, that your attention comes without conditions. Now, when you go silent, not as punishment, but as a boundary, everything shifts. Because suddenly your attention is no longer guaranteed. And the moment something guaranteed disappears, its value increases immediately. She notices the silence. She notices the missing energy. And for the first time in a long time, she has to actually think about where things stand. That's not manipulation. That's just how value works. Now, I need to be brutally honest with you here, because a lot of men think they're being disciplined when they go quiet, but they're actually just sulking. And women can feel the difference immediately. Sulking silence sounds like this inside your head. I'll show her. She's going to regret ignoring me. Let me see how long it takes before she cracks. And while you're being quiet on the outside, on the inside, you're checking her Instagram every 20 minutes. You're rereading old conversations. You're hoping she posts something that proves she misses you. And the second she doesn't reach out in 48 hours, you break. You send a message. And you just taught her that your silence has an expiration date. That's not silence, that's withdrawal. And withdrawal is just neediness in a disguise. Real silence sounds completely different. Real silence is, I'm not going to speak from a weak place. I'm not going to beg for clarity. I'm not going to negotiate basic respect. I'm going to step back, get grounded, and let the truth surface on its own. The difference isn't just internal, it's felt. A woman can sense the energy behind your quiet. If you're silent and bitter, she feels the bitterness. If you're silent and stable, she feels the stability. And stability is far more intimidating than bitterness, because bitterness tells her you still care desperately about her reaction. Stability tells her you're fine either way. And a man who is fine either way is a man who cannot be easily controlled. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it right now. Seriously, this channel is for men who are building something real, real confidence, real standards, real relationships. Every week, I'm dropping videos that are going to help you think and move differently. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, and let's keep building together. Now, let's finish this strong. Let's talk about the moment most men completely waste. She goes quiet. You go quiet. Days pass, and then she reaches out. Maybe it's a simple, hey. Maybe it's a meme. Maybe it's, I've been thinking about you. And most men, they immediately melt. They respond instantly. They're warm, they're open, they're relieved. And just like that, Every ounce of ground they gain disappears in one reply. Because here's what you have to understand. A woman coming back is not proof that she's changed. It's not proof that she suddenly values you properly. It might just mean she misses the attention. It might mean she got bored and you're a familiar comfort. It might mean she lost access to someone else and you're the backup option she knows will still be there. So when she returns, your job is not to melt. Your job is to observe. Does she come back with accountability? Does she acknowledge what happened? Does she show genuine effort to reconnect properly? Or does she come back with the same casual energy, acting like nothing happened, expecting you to pick right back up where you left off? Because if you allow that, if you accept the return without any change in her behavior, you just told her that your silence was a performance. You told her that no matter what she does, you'll always take her back, and the next time she treats you sideways, she'll remember that, and she'll act accordingly. Women don't respect what has no standards. They may enjoy it, they may use it, but they don't respect it, and you cannot build anything real, anything lasting, anything healthy without mutual respect. So when she comes back, be warm, be open, but be clear. I'm glad you reached out. I want us to actually talk about what's been happening. If we're going to move forward, I need to know we're on the same page. That's not cold. That's leadership. And real women, women worth your time, will respect it. Let me end this with something that's going to hit some of you hard, and I'm saying it with respect, not judgment. If the only time she starts treating you well is when she thinks you're walking away, that is not chemistry. That is not fate. That is conditioning. She learned through your behavior that she can give you confusion, mixed signals, and minimum effort, and you will still be there, every time, without fail. And a lot of men celebrate when silence brings her back. They say, it worked, but what worked was consequence. And if consequence is the only language she understands, you are not building a relationship. You are building a cycle. She gets comfortable, you get anxious, you go quiet, she comes back, you forgive instantly, she gets comfortable again. Repeat. That cycle doesn't end with a new tactic. That cycle ends with new standards. The goal of silence was never to bring her back. The goal of silence is to bring yourself back. Back to your clarity, back to your standards, back to the version of you that doesn't beg, doesn't spiral, doesn't make himself small for someone else's inconsistent mood. So, yes, go silent when you need to, not to punish her, not to make her chase, but because you refuse to speak from a weak place, because you refuse to negotiate your self-worth, because you'd rather stand in your truth quietly than scream for validation loudly. That's the man whose silence gets felt the deepest, not because he disappeared, but because when he's gone, what's missing is undeniable. Now I want to hear from you, and I mean this genuinely. Drop in the comments right now. Have you ever gone silent and watched the entire dynamic shift? Or have you gone silent and realized she didn't even flinch, and that truth finally gave you the freedom to move on? Tell me what happened. Keep it real. Don't make it sound impressive. Tell the truth. Because the men watching this channel learn from each other just as much as they learn from me. And if you're in a situation you can't talk about publicly, comment your story anyway. I read everything. And when I see someone dealing with something that needs deeper advice, I reach out directly. If this video helped you, subscribe right now if you haven't already. Share it with one man in your life who needs to hear this, because somewhere out there is a guy sending his 10th unanswered text tonight, and this video might be exactly what changes his direction. I'll see you in the next one. Stay solid.